Shalom, Apostle, coming back at you with this truth, giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. And I'm going to go into Daniel the 9th chapter. I'm not going to go into the whole chapter because most of the chapter is pretty much self-explanatory. Like, for example, when you go to the first verse, it says, in the first year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, of the seed of the Medes, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans, because it was Darius that took down the Babylonian rulership, or the king of Babylon. Second verse, in the first year of the reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years whereof the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 weeks and the desolations of Jerusalem. Now what I want to do is I want to jump down to because like I said, the rest of it is pretty much self-explanatory. I may come back and do another study on this, but it's self-explanatory. I mean, if you have any questions concerning any particular verse that you may be stuck on, just go into the comment board and I'll see you on the comment board. And another thing, it says 70 years has nothing to do with 70 weeks. That was talking about the Babylonian captivity. Because it tell you that in the first verse, how Darius took down the realm of the Chaldeans and they had us in the captivity for 70 years. So what I want to get into is, I want to jump all the way down to the all right, 21st verse. You can actually start from the 20th verse, but I'm going to the 21st verse. Anyway, it says, whilst I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, now Gabriel is an angel, but this proves to you that they can be called men. Angels can be called men too, because they can come down in the form of men. They can come down looking angelic, or they can come down in the form of men, and you think you're talking to another man, and you're actually talking to an angel. That's in Hebrews, the 13th chapter, about entertaining strangers, for some have entertained angels unawares. Unaware. So it says 21st verse, Daniel 9, verse 21. And like I said, others can build on this. I may come back and read more into it, but I'm just briefly going into it. So it says, whilst I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, which is the angel Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. Oblation meaning the sacrifices, evening sacrifices. Because we had a lot of order. When the kingdom comes, there's going to be certain priests that's going to be appointed. There's going to be certain people that are watched. There's going to be ceremonial things going on every day in the kingdom. And then you're going to have to build up to the high holy days. Then there's going to be a new high holy day added in the kingdom. It's going to be what you can call it the new Passover. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and get it. Okay, I'm sorry. That's I had it in Jeremiah 14. It's got to be Jeremiah 16. That is Jeremiah 16 and 14. You know what? Let me start up at 13. Therefore will I cast you out of this land into a land that ye know not, neither ye nor your fathers, and there shall ye serve other gods day and night, where I will not show you favor. And that goes hand in hand with Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, serving God's wood and stone. That's talking about right here. Therefore behold, 14 verse, therefore behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children out of the land of Egypt. The word there should be Martizayim. But Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north. And the land of the north is talking about America, Babylon the Great, and not just Babylon the Great. The main deliverance is going to come out of Babylon the Great, but you're going to have the elect that's going to be delivered from the four quarters or the four corners of the earth. And from all the lands, well, there you go. And from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. So, in order for you to understand verses 14 and 15, you got to understand, well, the understanding's in verse 13. Therefore I will cast you out of this land into a land that ye know not, neither ye nor your fathers, and there ye shall serve other gods day and night, where I will not show you favor. That's right here. This is the worst captivity we ever been in, because our nationality was taken away. That's why when we wake up in this land, pursuant to Ezekiel 30, the 37th chapter, that we're Israelites, they're demonizing us for finding out who we are. Ain't that a bitch? So this is the worst captivity ever, and the last captivity. And I see why the Most High is going to Obadiah 1:18 the Edomites. I see that clearly. They're a bunch of rattlesnakes. Anyway, it says, let me read 14 and 15 again real quick. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I shall no more, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, or Mizraim. See, a regular church goer, if you can argue with him, oh no, it actually says Egypt, so it was actual Egypt. Well, if you deal with a scholar, I'll even say a Christian scholar, they'll tell you that, nope, the actual place was called Mizraim. Egypt is a Greek term. That's why you got to know some Hebrew, you got to know a little Greek, you got to know a little history. It says 15, but Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel, because all of Israel, Judah and Israel were oppressed together. That's in Jeremiah. So he's not going to bring up Judah. He's going to bring up the whole house of Israel. From the land of the north, that's America, and from all, it's not Russia, it's America, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. That's the Middle East. Behold, I will send for many fishes, saith Yahweh, and they shall fish them, and after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill, out of the holes of the rocks. And it is in Revelation, it says, hide us from let the rocks fall on us, because of the fear of the Most High. For 17 verse, for mine eyes are upon all their ways, Israel's ways. They are not hid from my face, neither is their iniquity hid from mine eyes. That's all I got to read on that. So let me come back to Daniel. Okay, it says 22nd verse, Daniel 9 verse 22. And he informed me and talked with me and said, O Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding, to give you this understanding of this, what's going to happen at the beginning of thy supplication. The supplication meaning you praying to the Most High, for the Most High to show you favor. Loosely translated, the commandment came forth, and I am come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved. So the Most High, the angel the angel Gabriel is telling Daniel that you're greatly beloved by the Most High, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And remember, we're greatly beloved because we're doing His will. We're in the forefront of this thing, doing His will. So we're greatly beloved. Therefore, understand the matter and consider the vision. Bear me for a minute. Let me go back to the second verse. It says 70 weeks, right? 70 years. That's Babylon, right? Now we're going to jump down to now right here it says in the 24th verse, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon the holy city to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. The most holy represent the Messiah coming on the scene. "25th verse. Now therefore, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore," and that going forth of the commandment came from Cyrus. And like I said, that's a whole, if I wanted to deeply go into this, there's a lot of names and dates I got to bring out, which I may bring out in the future, but I'm just kind of breezing over this. So the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem, because it wasn't just the temple that was destroyed, it was Jerusalem too. The gates was burnt. There's a reference in, let me see if I can find it. Bear me for a minute. What I should have did was wrote it down. I mean, I did, but I had to reboot the computer. I'm going to see if I can find it. Just bear with me for a minute. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, let me see. I know it's in the book of Nehemiah. Because I didn't even want to go into that, but I want to go into it now. Okay, let's try this. Let me try it this way. Anyway, Nehemiah was weeping. Oh, I hate this. The king said to Nehemiah, why are you sad? And then he explained that Jerusalem was burnt up and the temple was destroyed. So it says, I believe that's the 7th verse. It says, moreover, I said unto the king, if it please the king, let letters be given me to the governors beyond the river, that they may convey me over till I come into Judah. And a letter unto Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gates of the palace, which appertain to the house, and for the walls of the city, and for the house that I shall enter into. And the king granted me according to good hand of my power upon me. Okay, this is, what is this, the 12th, 13th verse. It says, and I went out by night by the gate of the valley, even for the dragon well, and to the dung port, and viewed the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and the gates thereof were consumed with fire. So that's what I wanted. This is in Nehemiah 2. I believe I read the 7th verse and I jumped down to the 12th and into the 13th verse. So now we're back in. So it wasn't just the temple. They always talk about the rebuilding of the temple. It was talking about the Babylonians and tore down the temple in Jerusalem. When you go to the temple, you have to go into the gates of the city, and they tore down the walls. The gates was half burnt. So now let's go back to Daniel 9 verse 24. It says 70 weeks, which 70 weeks represent weeks of years. Let me see if I can find that. Week. Okay, good. I found it. Okay, it says in Genesis 29 verse 27, I might jump up a verse or two. Fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. And Jacob did so and fulfilled her week. So what is a week? A week represents 7 years. And he gave him Rachel, his daughter, to wife also. So that's how you know that what is meant by a week here in Daniel 9 verse 24. 70 weeks. So 70 weeks represent what? It represents 490 years, approximately. See, the Most High doesn't deal with super exact numbers. So when you try to add this up, that's why I don't go into that math too much. Because when you try to open it up, you say, well, no, that means that the Lord was born on this date or this year. Well, you have scholars that say that the Lord was born anywhere from 3 to 5 BC or from 3, 4, 5 AD. So you're playing with like 8 to 10 years there. Whether he wasn't born on 1 AD. Scholars will argue that he was born a couple of years before the AD period or a couple of years after the AD period. So when you're dealing with these exact numbers and you go to different scholars, they're going to argue about the certain time. So we know that it's around 490 years. So it says, Daniel 9 verse 24, 70 weeks are determined, which represent 490 years, upon thy people, the Israelites, and upon the holy city. The holy city are the Israelites, but the holy city is also the actual holy city, which is in the Middle East, which is Palestine, Jerusalem, to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins and to make reconciliation for iniquity. In other words, for Israel to get themselves right. Like when you read from the first verse, second verse, third verse down to like going into the 10, 11, 12 verse, it tells you how the fact that we were taken over by other nations because we broke the laws. Then it spoke about us having confusion of face, which really means to be shamefaced. So reconciliation is to get yourself reconciled, to get yourself right by doing the law, statutes, and commandments, and to bring in everlasting righteousness. Now, everlasting righteousness never came. Everlasting righteousness is going to come in our time because the Most High is going to reprogram us. He's going to reboot us, so to speak, and program us to keep the laws. He's going to make us perfect. You wouldn't be able to break the laws even if you wanted to. And to seal up the vision and prophecy and to anoint the most holy. That's Yahushua being anointed as King of Israel. Know therefore, 25th verse, and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince, which is our Lord, shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. Now that adds up to 69 weeks. So you go to 490 minus a week, minus 7 years. You got 7 years less. So you got to take away 7 years from that 70 weeks. Like I said, I'm not going to go all into the math of it at this particular time. But the key that we're looking for is 490 years. Now, if you go to, let's say, Google, right? And I did this before. Let me try it this way. Okay, let's try it this way. Okay, it says here, right? I just put this in rebuilding of the second temple. It says second Jewish temple. It said by 515 BC, the reinstated Jewish residents had completed building the second temple. In 37 BC, King Herod enlarged the Temple Mount and rebuilt the temple with the consent of the public during the Roman period. And AD 70, the second temple was destroyed along with Jerusalem by Titus' army. Let me read that again. By 515 BC, the reinstated Jewish temple, I should say, had completed building the second temple. In 37 BC, King Herod enlarged the Temple Mount. He added to it and rebuilt the temple with the consent of the public during the Roman period, during the Roman rulership. In AD 70, the second temple was destroyed. So that little piece of information, that's all you need. So when you go from 515 BC up until the time of the Lord coming on the scene, up until the time of him being cut off, up until the time of 70 AD, when you do the math, it adds up to 70 weeks. So now let's go back. Let's go back to Daniel 9. It says, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment. So we just pulled up some information. It said 515 and 515 BC to restore and to rebuild Jerusalem unto the Messiah. The prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built. The street represents the streets of Jerusalem, again, and the wall, even in troublous times. So what does that mean? And I should have brought that up as well. Bear with me for a minute. Let me see if I spelt this correctly. Nope, I did not. So I have to do it the hard way. Bear with me for a minute. Let me try it this way. Let me try it this way. Okay, I found it. Anyway, it says in troublous times, right? it says, I believe that's the middle of the 25th verse, Daniel 9, verse 25. And 62 weeks, the street shall be built again, and the wall, you got the wall of the city and the gate, even in troublous times. So what does the troublous times mean? Ezra 4:1. Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the, and they didn't just build the temple, they built the Jerusalem back, the city, unto Yahweh the Most High of Israel. Then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers, and said unto them, let us build with you, for we seek your power, your God, as ye do, and we do sacrifice unto him. Now that goes back to the when the king of Assyria had placed those other nations into the land, and lions attacked them, and they realized that they wasn't keeping the laws of the land, so they sent one priest, Levite priest, to teach them the laws. So they started thinking that, yeah, we're following the Most High. The same thing goes for the woman at the well. She was a Samaritan. She wasn't an Israelite. And when you read it, the Most High basically cursed her out, saying, look, you know not what you worship for salvation of the Jew. You ain't a Jew. It says, and we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Hasar-Haddon, king of Ashur, which brought us up hither. But Zerubbabel and Joshua, which is Joshua the high priest, and the rest of the chief fathers of Israel, said unto them, ye have nothing to do with us to build an house unto our power, but we ourselves together will build unto Yahweh the Most High of Israel, as King Cyrus the king of Persia have commanded us. Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building. So what are we doing now? We're building back Israel. So now there's people troubling us. We're building a spiritual temple now, and we represent, each one of us represent a brick. So they're coming against us now, saying that you're not the real Jews, you're the fake Israelites, you're black Hebrew Israelites, you're terrorists, you're this, you're that, you're other. Because we are those people coming back. So they see that we're coming back, and their job, their goal is to make sure that we don't come back together. Because if we come back together, that's when the Most High is going to intervene, which he already is intervening. So they see that, damn man, you got these Israelites all over the place. It says in Revelation 11, it speaks about great fear falling on them. How the bones, the dead bodies rose up and stood up. Also in Ezekiel 37. And it said that there was great fear, because they said, damn, these people, these are the Israelites, but we got to kind of put them back to sleep. That's what they're doing right now, trying to put us back to sleep and trying to upset the building, the spiritual building. It says, Ezra 4 verse 4, then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building. So what does it say in Daniel? Let's go back to Daniel 9, verse 25. And 62 weeks the street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. Let's read on, 26th verse. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off. What does it mean? Messiah being cut off? He's going to be crucified. So you do the math. You go to the date where he was crucified, and you go back three score and 2 weeks. And then you go up from his death to the time of 70 AD, 74 AD, when the Roman armies took us down, and a lot of us had to flee. It says, and after 62 shall Messiah be cut off. So there's hints right there. If you want to get into the exact math, you go ahead and do it. But all we need to know is the 70 weeks goes back to the time of the commandment by Cyrus to build the temple, of us building the temple and finishing the temple, up until the point of the Messiah being cut off, up until the point of the Roman army during the time of Vespasian and Titus flooding the Holy Land. It said be cut off, but not for himself. So the Messiah is not going to be cut off for himself, but for his people. But he's also going to be cut off for himself too, because he had to pay for the sins that he committed when he was Solomon. It says, and the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. The people of the prince is talking about who? Talking about Titus coming against the Israelites and coming against the temple. And what did they do? They raided the temple. When the Lord said in Matthew 24, I believe in Luke 21, the abomination that maketh desolate, meaning they went into the temple, they destroyed it, and they took the riches out of the temple, out of the treasury. And the end thereof shall be with a flood. That flood represents what? The Roman armies. They overwhelmed us with their armies. And unto the end of the war, desolations are determined. Now let me go from here to Luke 21. Let's see what it says right here. Luke 21. Yeah, let me do it like this. Okay, Luke 21 verse 7. And they asked him, saying, Master, but when shall these things be? And what sign shall there be when these things shall come to pass? So when you read Matthew 24, Luke 21, Mark 13, it's talking about two time periods. The time period of 70 AD and this time now. So let me jump down to the 20th verse. Luke 21 verse 20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, that was 70 AD. Then, and it's not just 70 AD, because you have to go back, you have to go 3 years back to around 66 AD to 70 AD, even up to 74 AD when you go into when you research about Masada. So really it was from 66 AD past 70 AD to 66, 70, to about 73, 66 to 70, and then into 73, 74 AD. It says 20 verse, and when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, that's 70 AD, that's during the time period, and there was tensions before 70 AD, and you're going to find that out in the next verse in Daniel 9. Then know that the desolation therefore is nigh. The desolation therefore is nigh is the Roman armies. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. And that's not talking about now. You'd be an idiot if you're going to flee to some mountains. That was talking about back then. And let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. For these be the days of vengeance. And I went through this before. The vengeance is what? They knew that they were Edomites. So they're getting us back for what we did to them back during the time of King David, during the time of the kings. Remember, they rebelled against us, so they always wanted to get us back, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. 23rd verse, but woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. Now, when we get beamed up out of here, if you're part of the elect, you're going to be delivered along with your wife and along with your children. You don't got to worry about having an infant child, but that was talking about back then. So you got individuals that break this down and say, oh, this is all talking about this didn't happen yet. No, part of these prophecies already happened. So being that we got that, let's go to the Daniel 9 verse 27. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. Now that 1 week represents 7 years. So there was a time where we had treaties. When you go into the history, we had treaties with the Romans, where if you paid a certain, when the Romans first took over Palestine and made a province, they made a treaty with us. They said, look, we took you over. We're not going to put you in slavery, but you're going to have to pay a tax, which is a tribute. That's why they had a census. Remember when Joseph had went to Bethlehem for the census under the orders of the king and his lords? And the reason why they have a census is to tax you. So they said, you can be an Israelite, you can keep the laws, you can keep the high holy days, we're just over you. And ultimately they set up Herod as being the king of the Jews, which he was an Edomite. He was an Edomite. It said, which proved that Edomites were around back then. So it says, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. So that 1 week represents a 7-year period. And in the midst of that week, they're going to break the covenant. Now, when you go into the history of that time period, when there was wars and when they wanted to do public works and they needed to add on to their kingdom, they taxed the hell out of the people, just like they're doing right now. There was this one video or story I read, how many people are leaving New York State because they're taxing the hell out of the people in New York State, including the rich. And they're moving to other states. You got a lot of people moving out to Texas, moving out to the Midwest. And a lot of people leaving out of LA, out of California. So there's certain hot spots in this country that they're leaving to go to, places that they're not taxing the hell out of you. So what they did to Israel was they raised taxes on them. So Israel's like, look, we ain't having it. We ain't having it like that. We're not having this shit. So they had certain individuals. They had the Zealots back there. They had the Sicarii, which broke off from the Zealots and set up their own thing. So when you read, when you come across the Sicarii videos, you know what that word actually means. They were part of the Zealots. And Zealots just means jealous ones, or they were like the radical part of the Israelites back there. They wanted to get rid of the Romans out of. They no longer wanted to be under that province. They wanted the Romans out, and that's why the Romans had to maintain such a strong army. Eventually, it got broken down because of monetary situations. Anyway, it says, let me finish reading this. Daniel 9 verse 27, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week, which was 70 AD, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. He said, you're not paying me what I want, I'm not getting the taxes that I want, then I'm gonna destroy your temple, I'm gonna destroy your city. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate. So he's the abomination. He shall make it desolate even until the consumption, even until he destroys it, which is the temple, and kills a lot of great number of Israelites, which our Lord said, the abomination that maketh desolate. As a matter of fact, let me go to that. Bear with me for 1 second. It's in a couple of places, but I want to go. Matthew 24, verse 15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whosoever readeth, let him understand. Then let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains. So what was he talking about? This was 40 years, 45 years or so before it happened. So the Lord gave the prophecy that the Roman army is going to come in and kill as many Israelites as they could. So now Christians say that this 7 week is a 7-year tribulation, and it's getting ready to come, and some of them are going to be taken away. They don't understand the scriptures. Daniel, the 9th chapter, took place already. Almost damn near about 2,000 years ago. This is a prophecy that had been fulfilled. So we're back in the middle of Daniel 9 verse 27. And for the all overspreading of abominations, they were the abominations, he shall make it desolate. Or the Roman armies through his Titus' command shall make it desolate. Even until the consumption, even until they completely destroy the place. And that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. And the determined shall be poured upon the desolate is us. We're going to be desolated or desolate. Meaning we're going to flee. The temple is going to be bare. They're going to go in and they're going to take the riches from the treasury. And this goes into West Africa. We fled into Africa. We fled up into Europe. We had relatives. Remember, Israel always had relatives in Africa, in Egypt. There was a large community of Israelites in Egypt. As a matter of fact, the second in command under Titus, I forget his name, Alexander. I forget his daggone name. Alexander, and I was going through it the other day. Damn. Alexander Titus. Bear me for a minute. Let me pull his name up. Let me pull his name up. I hate that. Alexander Tiberius. Okay, I think I got it. Okay, Tiberius Julius Alexander. He was an Israelite. He was born, circumcised on the 8th day, spoke Hebrew, and he was born in Egypt. He was part of a large community of Israelites that lived in Egypt, and this is what it says about him. Okay, he was born in 10 AD, and he died in 70 AD, so he lived to be 60. It says rank Praetorian perfect. Let me look that up. Bear with me for a minute. The Praetorian perfect was a high office in the Roman Empire, originating as the commander of the Praetorian Guard. So you had Jakes that were in high office. Gradually acquiring extensive legal and administrative functions with its holders becoming the emperor's chief aides. So he was up there, with the king, with Titus. That's why you got to go into this history sometime. It says Tiberius Julius Alexander. Tiberius Julius Alexander was an equestrian governor and general in the Roman Empire, born into a wealthy Jewish family of Alexandria. Alexandria is in Egypt. Like I said, you had a big community, a large community of Israelites that were living in Egypt, but abandoning or neglecting the Jewish religion. So he was raised up as an Israelite under the laws, but he was like, "Nah, I don't want to be an Israelite no more. I want to work with the Romans." So he was a sellout. He rose to become procurator of Judea under Claudius. So he was in a high position before Vespasian and Titus even came into power. So with that, I'm going to say shalom, and it's on to the next one. Like I said, you can really go into the history of Daniel, the 9th chapter, and put all the numbers together. I just gave you kind of like a brief breakdown, and that's all you really need. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom, and it's on to the next one.